of the things I'm most proud of in our industry is the fact that it's grown so fast. There are so many people participating in the industry of fast pitch. We're becoming a professional business. And for a lot of people, that sounds bad because there's monetizing, there's a financial growth to it, and there are people entering the business and maybe not exactly professionally trained to be able to earn that softball income. But I'm very proud of the direction that we're heading in, and part of the standard that we're setting inside the Firecrackers is that we are providing a path for others to follow so they can understand how to be a professional coach, player, and parent. This video is especially for you parents, and it's addressing the #1 area that affects our young ladies, and it is their emotional well-being. Right now, 33% of NCAA female athletes have diagnosed anxiety and/or depression. And that's not okay. And I often talk to teams and players and groups about why is this happening? We're not trying to do that. That's not the outcome that we're going for. Softball is full of well-intended, loving people that are trying their best to provide what these young ladies need. The game is stressful enough. But think about it. Where is anxiety and depression coming from? Well, it starts with their foundation. It starts with their ability to feel safe. It starts with their ability to understand that they are loved. And for a lot of these young ladies, they do have that at home. Not everybody does. But what happens when that realization disappears? What happens when we're playing this sport and we're trying the best we can, but we're just not doing it well enough? And that's what I want to address in this video. We have a responsibility as coaches and parents to provide the right type of support for our young ladies. If you think about it, it's not the game, and it's not the young ladies enjoying themselves with teammates. There's already enough built-in stress there. But the two contributing factors are coaches and parents. So what do? I like to talk about what we need to do. I like to think forward. I like to picture the future. But we need to understand a couple of do's and don'ts first. So I'm going to start with a couple of don'ts. Don't project things that stress you out to your daughters. For example, whether it's finances, or your frustration with a coach, or your anger with something that happened during tournament play or the event itself, or whatever, just your typical softball experience on a weekend. If something is frustrating you, even your daughter's performance, don't project that to her. Don't talk about things that stress you out in front of your daughter. Think about it. If your relationship is right with her, she loves you so much that she doesn't want to disappoint you. She always wants to make you proud, consciously or subconsciously. So when she hears you stressed out, let's just say she has one of the empathetic type personalities, she's going to take on your stress onto her, and she's going to feel like she's disappointed you. Don't talk about things that stress you out in front of your daughter. Have that conversation about finances. Have that conversation about, is this the right team, with your spouse, with your partner, with your friends, whoever it is, in a private area. Have that discussion away from your daughter. And if it's something that you need to talk about with her, understand the context that needs to take place when you are having that conversation. So it's a discussion about the business of softball. You're just telling a story. We say this all the time. It's how you tell the story. Next, we often talk about the long car ride home. But conversations about softball take place all the time because it really consumes our minds and it consumes our time. So, next, don't tell her what she does wrong. I know that you're well-intended. You want to address what you saw that wasn't right. But again, this is the difference from becoming a professional-minded parent, a professional-minded player, a professional-minded coach, and what separates us from the untrained. The information that I'm sharing with you is all based on experience, but it's experience that's had a certain outcome for our firecracker culture, which is why I feel like we've had the success that we've had, and why I feel that we have the responsibility to share this information with you. I can give you this information, we can give you the tools, and I hopefully inspire you to use those, because just having the right tools doesn't mean that you're going to use them. Your daughter's self-preservation depends on you. You hold the biggest key to her heart, which is why this is so important. All professional ball players were young kids at one time. All major league ball players were little leaguers at one time. But as they progressed through the professional ranks, they learned how to think professionally. That's what this video is about. Recognize what we're doing that's not professional. Recognize what we're doing that is just kind of our normal innate behavior, and then let's kick into our professional training. So there's a couple of don'ts. Don't talk about things that stress you out. Don't tell her what she's doing wrong. Okay, Tony, what can I do? Well, in order to get to that other place, you as players do and as coaches do, you need to recognize where your thoughts are coming from. And I think one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is learn to let go. Learn to let go of the amount of pain and emotion that you're feeling with their frustration or anger or whatever it is. Learn to let go of that loving attachment that you have to your daughter's performance. Ultimately, the biggest attachment that you have to your daughter is her well-being. You want her to be okay. I understand how important her performance is to you. I understand how important the scholarship is to you. I understand how important her playing time is to you, especially in the summertime, especially when we're exhausting our finances. But nothing is more important than her emotional well-being. What are you going to do when you find out that your daughter's depressed? How are you going to feel when you realize that she's laying in bed and she's not okay? Here's the great news. It's just a change in our mindset. It's just a shift in our thinking. It's, as I've said before, taking our glasses and putting it on you, or taking any glasses or point of view from any successful, well-balanced professional that has to separate what they do in their professional life from their personal life and being able to utilize that to your advantage. So, what can we do? You can participate with your daughter a lot, but just change the way you're participating. Ask her questions. Don't give her statements. Ask her, what did you learn at practice? Ask her, what was your approach in that situation with the bases loaded, whether you were pitching or whether you're hitting? Ask her questions that allow her to speak her mind, empower her voice, empower the mindset that she's developed over what, 5, 8, 10 years of playing this game? Think about that. To play this game 5, 8, 10, 12 years and to not have a level of certainty about yourself because well-intended people are constantly projecting emotions and constantly projecting untrained behavior. There you have the depression and the anxiety. Ask her what she's doing and get her to answer you with clarity. I guarantee you that when you first ask your daughter questions, like we tell our coaches all the time, your daughter's going to start their answer like this. I was looking for a good pitch. The uhs project uncertainty. Why? Because we're not used to asking them questions that we really want to hear their answer. Your daughters have mastered this. The head nod. But what if there was a thought bubble above every one of our players' heads when we talk to them? What do you think those thought bubbles would say? Of course they're going to be respectful to us, and they're not going to say what they're really feeling on the inside of us because they have to be respectful to their parents, to their coaches, to authority. But what if our players had thought bubbles every time we were giving them our opinion or, let's say, expertise or sharing our experiences with them? The best thing you could do is ask your daughters questions about what it is that they experienced, what it is that they were thinking in a situation, what their approach was in a particular situation. Acknowledge their behavior. Acknowledge their certainty. Tell them that you're proud of them for being clear in their mind of what they wanted to do. Tell them you're proud of them for keeping their head up after they struck out. Tell them you're proud of them for not letting their chin lower when they were crying because they felt the loss of the competition. They lost the game. They weren't successful in the at-bat. They gave up a home run. Tell them you're proud of them for just talking about the game as it's a story, and it's not always a definition of their value as a player. Because what you don't realize is that too many young ladies take that value as a player and they project it towards their value as a person. Tell them that you're never going to be disappointed in them. When you're disappointed in your daughter, it makes the biggest impact on their heart. And your daughter's being disappointed is the #1 factor in them becoming anxious or depressed. Tell them that they'll never disappoint you. That word should never be used in softball as far as who they are as people or players. The situation could be disappointing. The outcome could be disappointing. The fact that we are on a team, that it might be a disappointing circumstance, that things aren't working out, but we need to finish our commitment because we want to teach them when do we change our relationship, when do we change direction, when do we change jobs. It might be a disappointing situation, but it doesn't mean that we emotionally react and then burn the bridge and then end up out there not knowing what we're going to do next. Tell them that you love them. I know all of you think about that all the time. I tend to be hardest on dads because we are the ones that, again, have to play good to feel good. We don't think about emotions first. We just think about you popped up 3 times, and we get really frustrated anytime a young lady makes the same mistake 2 or 3 times in a row. So that's it. It's not rocket science. It's just a shift in thinking. Over here is our emotional voice. Over here is our professionally trained voice. I've given you a few examples of what you can do to provide the right type of emotional support for your daughter. I know how much you love her. We all know that. But we all have to be honest and admit that when the heat of the battle is on, we're not our best selves. But the best news is that we can be. I've always said that if I could do this, if I could change my behavior, because I was inspired to, not because somebody told me to, because I was inspired to, that I have a life right now that I never could have imagined that I've had. And it's full of love and happiness. And that's what is a priority to me. So think about it, prioritize things, prioritize your own ability to become a professional-minded parent, and I absolutely promise and guarantee you that you will see the difference in your daughter's performance.